Okay, we are now recording. So hello there, everyone. My name is David Pustansky, and welcome to the Extreme Improv Chat Show podcast. And on the show today, we have a very special guest. We have Diz, as we always call him, Steven Diz Disbrow. Steven Diz Disbrow. What did I say?
Whatever.
I'm so sorry.
Brow.
You know what? I'm
no, that's all
terrible
right.
pronunciation on everything. One of the things throughout this pandemic and everything is we get different accents, different things from all over the world. I mean, obviously you speak English as well, so I'm just making a lame excuse. But
No. It's French apparently, so I don't blame you for getting it wrong.
Yeah.
It's my
okay,
grandmother.
I was going to say, do you know Assad and Ramin from the Bromantic duo?
I know of them. I've been on shows with them.
If bro, you should definitely join because it's bro.
Bro.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't really put there's not a lot of us here, at least not where I'm from. Not a lot of Disbrows here, and but yeah, I'll speak with them about that. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, you could be the third bro in the
third bro. Don't really focus on the bro part a lot.
Yeah, exactly. You're usually just Diz.
That's true. It helps. There are a lot of Steves in the world and Stevens, so it's a familial nickname that is very confusing at family reunions whenever we have one. But fortunately, most of my family is very, very old and they've all died off, so I'm pretty much the last one left at this point. So, did I say fortunately? That was a poor choice of words. Poor choice of words. They're at peace.
Diz, everyone. Really, Diz, nice guy, cares about.
I care about. I don't know what I care about. I care about Pop-Tarts. Do you guys have Pop-Tarts over there?
Oh yeah, we have
UK?
Pop-Tarts.
Yeah,
but you know, an interesting thing. The first time I went to the States, one of the things I bought and brought home was Pop-Tarts.
Oh yeah.
We have. It's just
they have different flavors.
A flavor that I can't even remember what it was now. It was. God, what was it? It was something like donut flavor or something like this. It was just something a bit unusual.
They're always rolling out weird seasonal flavors and things like that. What is there a uniquely British flavor Pop-Tart that like Kippers?
Do you know? I don't know actually. Like I haven't had Pop-Tarts in quite some time, but I don't think there's ever been Kippers flavor.
Spotted Dick Pop-Tarts.
Oh my god! Do you know what? One of the things that's also so cool about like doing all this, people across the world, is you get an insight into what other countries think about you. So yeah, we're Kippers and Spotted Dick.
I have I have nothing but the highest regard for the UK. I love the culture. I love the comedy especially.
Amazing.
You know, growing up watching Monty Python and all that standard stuff, and then you get older and you get into the stuff like Mighty Boosh and Old Greg and just weird stuff like that. You guys always seem to be on the cutting edge of comedy, whereas we seem to be struggling with poop jokes most of the time.
Oh, so yeah, I see. I do like British comedy and British humor and all stuff, but I love American comedy. When I think to a lot of the comedy that I like, some of my favorite comedies of all time are Abbott and Costello films from like the 1940s and 1950s.
Yeah. My wife grew up in a very religious household, and that was all her parents would let her watch.
Well, Abbott and
Costello and Laurel and Hardy and things like that. Marx Brothers were too controversial.
Wow. Interesting stuff.
So yeah, I'm sorry I keep moving around. I've had, speaking of my in-laws, they moved in with us a couple days ago, so I've had to move all of my equipment into my basement, and I've got a new standing desk, and I'm dealing with all that stuff here. And I've got behind my green screen is a window into another universe, apparently.
Wow, that is very cool. I like the effect.
It's so bright outside it overpowers the green screen.
No, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so Diz, we've rolled straight into a chat, which is really good. It's interesting actually, just because I've done a lot of podcasts, and I've podcasts with lots of people from around the world, as I keep saying. But we've been doing shows together for literally months, and so this is the first conversation like this where I've done it with someone who I've worked with a load. So we've launched straight into the conversation without really doing terribly much introduction here. Yeah, so
I should tell people. I guess I should tell people about myself if that's where you're segueing to.
Yeah, a little bit. So obviously, you work with. You are to me, you are Mr. Improv Chattanooga. Will you tell us a little bit about how you factor into that?
That's a terrible burden to bear. I'm the co-founder of Improv Chattanooga. Back in 2002, I was in a play. I was a charity play for a place here called Mountain Arts Community Center. They were doing a fundraiser, and so we did a murder mystery. And one of the fellows that was involved in that was a fellow named Kevin Bartolomucci. And I did the play. I played the Wolfman. It was a Halloween-style show. And so I did a lot of ad-libbing and things like that. And at the end of it, Kevin said to me, "Hey, would you like to try improv?" And he had a troupe called Runs with Scissors, which worked out of a place called Dalton, Georgia. And so I tried out for it, and very quickly became apparent that Kevin and I worked well together. And at the time, Kevin suffered from the disease that most of us in the improv community suffer from if we're producers. He never said no to anybody. And
wow, I know that. I'm a victim of that sickness.
Yeah. Yeah, so we at the time there were like 30 people in the troupe, and people would show up, and a lot of these people, bless them, just had no idea what they were doing. And but Kevin was super friendly and super nice in that regard. And yeah, come play, sure, why not? Well, you can learn as you go. And so over time, the other thing that afflicts improv troupes happened. People would sort of peel away. They would, have their fill of it, and they would burn out, and they would go on to other things. And as the years went on, at one point I looked up, and it was just Kevin and I left. And so we formed a production company called First Draft Productions. And then we did a bunch of performance art, things like fake shootings in theaters and things like that. Setting things on fire, pretending to die. A lot of very interesting things that we probably couldn't get away with these days.
Yeah.
And but we never forgot about improv. We just sort of put it on the back burner while we did the performance art stuff for, God, maybe 7 or 8 years. Wow. And then we decided that we were going to double down on the improv, get back into improv. And that's when we rebranded as Improv Chattanooga, because nobody was searching for First Draft Productions on Google, if they wanted to see a comedy show. So we rebranded as Improv Chattanooga. We were in a partnership with a theater here called Barking Legs Theater, which is a fantastic place. If you're ever in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and you're able to get out and mingle with people again, I recommend going to Barking Legs. It's run by Ann Law and her husband, Bruce Kaplan. Fantastic place. And their current artistic producer is Marcus Ellsworth. He's a wonderful human being. So we got with Ann and asked, could we teach improv classes here? And she said, oh, absolutely. Ann's very, very giving. And so we get our first class up in about 2 weeks, and we've been teaching classes ever since. I think that was about 2014, 2015.
Wow.
And Kevin left us a couple of years ago, and but he moved back. I like that. I like that. He moved to Montana, I think.
That's very crafty of you, because I've got to interject. Obviously,
no, sorry.
We've been doing show stuff. You came in right at the beginning, so if not the very end of March, the beginning of April. And so Improv Chattanooga is something I've interacted with a lot of you, and obviously I've never come across Kevin. So when you then introduced the idea that he's left, I was like, wow.
Well, see, here's the thing. We had our own theater. We got our own space. It's very similar to. That's why I work in front of this black brick wall now. We got this place, and we just painted the inside black. We turned it into a black box. Kevin designed the theater. He's very well versed in the theater and all those sorts of things. I was the money man, basically. But we opened the theater in 2017, and he left near the end of 2018. He moved out to Wyoming or Montana, one of those big empty flyover states that we have here.
Yeah.
And for romantic reasons, and also because they have it's one of the states where they have an actual healthcare system where you pay taxes and that pays for it, which is an odd thing here in America. It's like your NHS.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And so he had a lot of medical problems. So he was moving out there to also, he was in love and also to take advantage of those things. And I speak freely about Kevin because I can't get him to come back and do any of this stuff. I've been trying to get him to do online improv. And he's just like, no, I don't want to do it. It's too, blah, blah, blah. If it's not in person, I don't want to do it. I'm like, okay, man. So he's got gout and a bunch of other problems with his knees and all this other stuff. I'm like, dude, online improv is perfect for you. You just sit on your ass and you be funny.
Yeah.
So he was out there for like 2 years, and during that time I ran Improv Chattanooga by myself. And then he came back. He was supposed to come back at the end of 2019, but he had some medical issues that he had to deal with. And then the pandemic hit. And so he just recently, just like a month or two ago, came back to this area. But I haven't seen him. I would love to get him involved again, but who knows what will happen. So there you go. That's basically my backstory.
Yeah. Well, it's Kevin's too. Kevin, like
it is Kevin's too.
If you won't listen to Diz, listen to David for a moment. Come back. You know.
It would be great. He's now for all the you work with somebody for a long time. Good God, it's almost 20 years now that he and I. If he and I work together again, it will be as if the intervening absence never happened.
Yeah, that's an amazing thing. Like there are some people where you just get a rhythm, you get a timing. Yeah. That's great when you can find that. Yeah, he
improv misses him. I think he would do very well in this media, in this environment. I think he would do an excellent job. And I miss him too, if I'm being completely honest. Oh God. No, sorry, I swallowed a dog here.
Okay.
No. No, it would, Kevin, if you could come back, that would be fantastic. But so in the meantime, I've just been trying to keep Improv Chattanooga going. We closed down at the end of last year before the pandemic hit, and I was looking for a new space. And I found a perfect space, David, 4,000 square feet. It already had a bar area built, bathrooms, a huge storage area in the back. I was going to build 2 theaters, actually, one for stand-up and one for
improv,
more theatrical pursuits.
Okay.
Improv, yeah. And it's hard to sell improv around here. It's actually very hard to sell improv around here. So
I think it's hard to sell improv everywhere. And people who do improv, I think it's one of the things I've had to learn to realize as well. But I think people who do improv just think it's so obvious. Improv, it's great. Yeah. But so many people don't quite get it.
Well, that brings me to a question that I ask on my podcast, Go Through the Door, which you can find at gothroughthedore.com. What would your elevator pitch for improv be? Because stand-up, you say, let's go to a stand-up show. Everybody knows what you're talking about. Boom. Yeah. They know what it is. They know what they're getting into. But you say, let's go to an improv show. And people are like, oh, an improv show? What is that? Is that, it's like Whose Line,
Yeah.
It's a problem.
It is a problem.
What would your elevator pitch be?
Gosh, I don't know. I probably need a bit of time to think about that, just because I would say it's actors making up funny scenes, funny characters on the spot based on audience suggestions. And that's just the simplest way I can describe it. I don't know that it's the best elevator pitch. And because Diz, we can bash out this idea a little bit, solve this problem. Imagine that.
That'd be great.
Because here's the thing, this is the way I've expressed it to some people. It's the problem that is, if I said to you, do you want to see a movie tonight? You might be like, sounds good. What's it about? What's the movie? And I'll say, well, you like movies. Let's go see a movie. You'd be like, well, I'm not just going to go see anything. What's it about? And if you said if I said, do you want to see a play tonight or a musical? You might be like, well, yeah, but what's it about? Now, if you say, do you want to see improv tonight? What's it about? We don't know. There is no answer to that. If you say, we're seeing a movie, what are you seeing? Oh, we're seeing a horror film. Oh, I don't like horror films. Okay, well, do you want to go see the Avengers? Oh, yeah, I love action movies. Great. You can seal the deal. If you say, do you want to see an improv show? What's it about? I don't know. We'll find out tonight. It may be. It's probably going to be comedy and silly because that's what most of them are. But it might be based around things that you've got no idea what it's about. We'll find out. And that's a problem because you can get a musical, you can get a play, you can get an action movie, a horror film, and you can break these things down. But improv is just like saying a film, a play. You don't know what it's about until you're there.
Yeah.
And yeah, go on.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so actually sealing the deal of like, okay, so you'll like this because it's about something you're interested in is the one thing you can't ever definitely say unless it is going to be something like, oh, this is an improvised murder mystery or it's an improvised Avengers film or something that's very tailored specific.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we some of the more popular shows that we had when we had our theater was improv movie night, where we're gonna we start with the genre. We go into it with the genre that we advertise, like horror movie or superhero movie or something like that, and then we get the title from the audience and go for an hour. And that, that kind of, as you're saying, that kind of clicks with people because, oh, I'm gonna go see a movie that you're gonna make up. Oh, that's cool. Let's try that. So I've found that the more specific that you are with your show, with the concept of the show, the better in general that it's received by the public, and the more likely you are to get a decent crowd of more than 5 people in the theater. So, but yeah, it's a huge problem for improv as an art form that we don't have that cultural awareness of exactly what we are.
Yeah,
that we can that you can say, let's go see improv, and people go, oh, I get it, and yes, I love it. The best elevator pitch I think we've got still, unfortunately, is it's just like, whose line is it anyway? Yeah, which a lot of times it's not. That it doesn't cover long form at all. It doesn't,
and again, this is something which I've often spoken about. This problem is that if you were just describing improv to people, it's actually a lot easier to describe what long form is.
Yeah,
so, it's a play or it's a musical. Yeah. Do you know what a play is? Yeah. Do you know what a musical is? Yeah. Well, this is one that they just make up on the spot. There's no script, but then you'll still get a full play. You'll still get a full musical. They just make it up. If you try and describe what short form is to someone who doesn't know, if you can say it's like Whose Line's It Anyway, great, everyone will know. Yeah. If they don't know what Whose Line's It Anyway is, the best way, and I probably wrote about this in my book, which I don't mean to plug, but I think I literally wrote about this. You say it's like a sketch show, which some people know what a sketch show is. So in America, you might say it's a bit like Saturday Night Live, but there's no script. But also each scene is going to have rules. What do you mean the scenes are going to have rules? Well, there might be scenes where they have to follow the order of the alphabet, or they can only speak in questions. What? So is it a game show? No, it's acting, and it's really confusing. But because Whose Line's It Anyway is the famous example of improv, you say it's like Whose Line's It Anyway. Yeah. And when you say it's long, see, one of the other things, not to go into what I find to be all of the, because this is a big hurdle for improv, is that people don't quite understand it, is that if you say it's a long form show, now you and I know what that means. If we say it's a short form show, people don't know what that means. They know what a sketch show is because of Saturday Night Live or the Two Ronnies over here or Monty Python. They get the idea of a sketch show, but even then a sketch show is a bit more niche. If you say it's short form, what does that actually mean to people that don't know what improv is? If you say it's long form, what does that mean? And then you end up saying, well, it's like an improvised play. Oh, so it's a play. So, and it's a term, it's other things where we say about, in fact, I think you yourself, Diz, 2 or 3 months ago, there was a thing on Facebook or something where you said about what should virtual improv be called, and some people were saying Zoomprov. Do you remember this?
I do. I like Vimprov, Vimprov.
See,
everybody hates it.
Do you know what? Well, yeah, okay. So
be honest.
It'll grow on me. It'll grow on me.
No, that's fine.
The thing that I'd say about that is improvisation is the idea. We shorten it to improv. In the UK, problematically, we'll often say impro rather than improv.
Right. Thank you, Keith Johnstone.
Yeah. And then
I got a story about that.
Yeah. Okay. No, we'll come to that in a second. But then from there, we take something that's shortened from improvisation down to improv, and then we just take off the beginning of the word, and literally we've just got the middle section of the word prov, and we'll say vimprov or dragprov or two-prov, and people have literally said to me, "But what's prov mean?" I'll say it's two-person improv, and they'll say, "Well, why is it prov? What's prov?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay, so we know because we're on the inner circle." But lots of other people out there simply don't get it.
No,
it's just a barrier. It's a barrier.
Yeah,
we're making it too. We're like too proud of it, and we're making it too. Oh well, these are our niche terms, and this is the lingo. You know,
we might have stumbled on something here. We're being too clever, perhaps.
Yeah,
and people hate people that are too clever.
Well, no, but like literally. So Extreme Improv. It's literally in 10 days' time as we're speaking, it will be the 10-year anniversary of Extreme Improv. Now, that may sound a bit strange for anyone who's been watching stuff recently, because everyone will know that a few weeks ago, we had the 3-year anniversary of Extreme Improv. So how is it 10 years old, anyone may ask? And that's because originally it was called the Improdigies Theatre Company. And so I was like, the prodigies, we're like child prodigies. Improdigies. No one could spell it. No one could pronounce it. Nobody understood what it meant.
Yeah.
And so when we did a one-off show called Extreme Improv 3 years ago, people then suddenly understood it. And I was like, okay, after a few months of trying to resist, the rebrand happened.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean,
it was too clever. And how many improv groups are like, I don't want to actually name any specific ones, but they've all got a version of the word improv linked in, like mashed into other words in some sort of pun.
Yeah. No, if you find I mean, 10 years is great. I mean, and that definitely counts towards Extreme Improv's anniversary. I tell people I've been doing improv since 2002, and well, who were you with? I'm like, I don't remember. We've had so many names. We sat down, I swear to God, we sat down for 5 hours one night at a restaurant back in 2012, I guess, trying to come up with different names. I have like a notebook full of just maybe 500 different names that we threw out that night. And we used, and like 4 of them were good.
Yeah.
4 of them were good. And I don't even remember what they are now. So, but yeah, it's a huge barrier to entry is just having something that people can understand right off the bat. And Extreme Improv comes really close to being, I mean, it's a great concept. It's a great name. It tells, if you know what improv is, you know that you're getting something a little different, a little more interesting than a Who's Line ripoff. So, which we all are. We're all Who's Line ripoffs. Because what else can you do? I mean, you really, it's hard to build a short form show that's interesting and not repetitive and engages people's attention. I was waiting to come on this call for this, and I was like, damn, this show's been going on for 2.5 hours, and all of his viewers are still there. That's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive.
We lose a few.
Well, the channel I was on, they were all still there. So
okay, amazing.
Yeah. Are you getting? I forgot. I have an air conditioner on back here. Is that showing up in your audio?
No, I don't. Not that I'm aware of. You're coming through nice and clear to me.
Okay, very good, very good. Well, I forget what we were talking about before we got off on that tangent. What's next on your hit list there,
what's next on my hit list? Okay, so I suppose, like, just to educate audiences, anyone listening, because of course there's a video version. We've got our cameras on, but we also put out this onto our podcast network so people can just hear us. So for anyone that isn't familiar with Improv Chattanooga, tell us a little bit about the current shows that you're doing, and I suppose because we're living in these COVID times, the shows, perhaps the way they've evolved, or the shows that you had before the pandemic, and perhaps how you've had to adapt them.
when we had our theater, we were doing 4 shows a week, Friday and Saturday, 8 and 10 p.m. And we did a movie show Friday at 8. We did the good old-fashioned improv show Friday at 10, which was 45 minutes of short form and then a 15-minute long form at the end to try and, expose people to long form.
Yeah.
Because honestly, once you do long form, most improvisers prefer long form once they've experienced it. It's not always true, but in my experience, like 90%. Yeah. And audiences, once they get a good taste of it as well, they really like it as well. And then Saturday night at 8, we had rotating shows. Every week was a different show. And Saturday night at 10 was Whose Line Chattanooga. Because I just said, the hell with it, I give up. We'll just do a Whose Line show. And if they sue us, that would be great, because that would be some press. And then, but Saturday night at 8, we would rotate through shows. We had our 1-star review show, which we're doing right now virtually. Yeah, it's where people send us 1-star reviews of establishments, services, goods and services and things, and we read those, and then we do some long form based on that. That's a lot of fun. That's a really great show. We also had our News of the World show, where we would read headlines from the previous week. News of the week in review. That was what it's called, Week in Review. We haven't done this show yet, simply because 2020 is just, there's no really interesting, fun news to do that doesn't suck. But we would read a headline out, and then we would just, it was just the headline, not the story. And then we would do a long form based on that.
Amazing.
We also had a show called, which I really want to bring back on to the virtual world, called Improv versus Stand Up, where we would have 5 stand-up comedians, each do 7 minutes, and then in between we would do improv based on their set. It's a lot of fun. But stand-up doesn't seem to be doing as well virtually as improv has been.
Yeah,
they're not as used to working for a crowd of 0 as we are.
That is true.
Yeah.
But also, I suppose in that same sense, like when we're doing stuff virtually, there will usually be 2, 3, 4 people in a scene. Mm-hmm. And we can bounce off each other, which I suppose for us is a little bit like when we're in a rehearsal.
Yeah.
So we're kind of used to it, whereas just telling jokes to your camera, and being able to feed, like sometimes you'll get like a audience in Zoom and people that you can hear, but it doesn't work quite the same way for stand up.
No, I understand what they're going through, but like I said, I mean, oh, hey, we've got one in the crowd. We need to do the show. He paid us $10. We got to do the show. Yeah. So, but I think, and when all this started, doing the virtual stuff, it was unusual to do a show where the actors all kept their microphones on. Because I guess we thought it was rude or something. But after a while, people started leaving their mics on, and then you can hear other people laugh at what you're doing, and that gives that good feedback. And
the interesting thing is, I always said leave your mics on, and I suppose what the one thing I felt that gave me like the step ahead of things with the virtual shows is that for the last couple of years I've been trying to get the podcast shows up and going, and when we've got like a group of people sat around a table, I was like, we don't have an audience for this. Maybe one day we'll do the podcast show in front of an audience, but now we need to create that atmosphere, so just have your mics on, laugh and react and stuff, and it does make such a huge difference.
It does. When I first started doing the Go Through the Door podcast, and to this, I've only done 1 season. It's just me talking with another improviser. And the first couple of times we tried to do a game at the end of it, and they sucked. They were all so bad. Just ABC game, new choice. All of it was just horrible.
Right.
And then when I started doing this, and I gave up on it. I gave up on that part of the podcast after a couple of weeks, and then the pandemic came along, and everybody started doing this virtual stuff, and I slowly began to see how it could work, how you can do this with you got to have some sort of little bitty audience, even if it's just your wife in another room laughing at you, that helps. Or, a screen full of people all with their mics on. So, but it was a very unsettling experience to sit across the table from someone that I've been working with for, in some cases, years, and I have an amazing rapport with, and just turd after turd come out of the interaction. It was really odd and humbling and scary. It's kind of scary. So
I appreciate it. And like, again, we've got lots of like similarities there, Diz, because again, doing the podcast, like the various podcasts I've done, like I ended up rebranding them at the beginning of this year or the very end of last year as the Extreme Improv Chat Show. Radio Rumble was like the short form improv show, and then the Skill Show where I talk about different improv skills. But before that, I might do a podcast with someone from across the world over Skype or something, and I'd say, okay, let's play a couple of games, and they would always feel like they're falling flat. They don't work like this. They don't work, and I think it was just because it was jarring how different it felt. But this virtual improv stuff, it's normalized it. It's made it so we've got over that awkwardness, and we roll with it. We've adapted. We've yes-anded the situation.
Yes, we've yes-anded one of the crappiest situations in the history of mankind.
Yeah.
Yay, technology. When I closed the theater at the end of last year, before I started looking for a new space, I seriously considered traveling the world trying to teach, and I applied to a bunch of festivals and stuff to teach and all that sort of stuff. And if this hadn't happened, though, I probably never would have met you, never would have met the various Allens that are on your show.
Various Allens.
Alan Ronald and Alan. What's other Alan's name?
Alan Lear.
Alan Lear, yes, Alan Lear. Dave Green, so many just amazing people that have congregated in the Extreme shows, and people that I've met other places doing forums and things like that. So in a way, this whole experience has been really good. If it weren't for the fact that, we're all going to die possibly, but yeah. And that's another thing, let me switch gears here. That's another thing. I think that we should be doing more material about this mess,
possibly
as artists. I don't necessarily think that the Extreme show per se, this is not a dig at you, I don't think the Extreme show per se is the place to do it, but I've been, I don't know how socially conscious or controversial you want the show to be. It's not my show. I'm not going to tell you.
No, we've done COVID stuff a few times, but like literally, I've been on things where people say like we want to forget COVID.
I have too. I can't. Like, okay. I can't stand that. I think I was banned. Actually, I think I was shadow banned from a show in Houston, Texas, because I did. I was a dude from the future visiting his past self, and I told him what was coming. And I got these angry messages in the Zoom chat. Steven, don't. I'm like, what? It's just, I'm in the middle of the scene, man. Don't be telling me don't. Yeah. So they didn't ask me back.
It's a shame. Like, I mean, you always have to be like aware of your audience, and maybe on that instance there was something where they felt like, oh, we better not because of this particular person or something like that. But we are in a situation where everyone's in the same boat. Everyone understands what this stuff is. So it's harder to try and dodge around it than just say, well, this is what we're all in. We can all relate to this.
Yeah. I mean, what is it going to look like when this is over and we're all back in theaters? Surely somebody out there is writing the next great play about all this stuff, just emotional and tragic and all that stuff. And that's going to be on stages. That's going to be out there for people to see.
Yeah.
And comedians are going to be talking about it. Once they get back in front of, their room fulls of drunks, they'll be out there talking about this, hopefully. and we'll be doing stuff about it too. You know, everybody hates to get, let me have a word, a dildo. Everybody hates that, but let me have a word, COVID. You know, that's the next dildo.
Yeah.
Oh, we should make a t-shirt.
But yeah, I tell you what, like, it's, first of all, I think someone should write the play, which is, if COVID never happened, what would have 2020 been?
Ooh.
I mean, if you think back at the start of the year, there was like I know we just had Pablo Lewin on the show tonight, who's in California, and he was saying that like there's huge fires there.
Oh yeah, those fires.
Start of this year, there was like massive fires, bushfires, and things in Australia. Everyone remembers there was a point literally on the 1st or 2nd of January where we all thought there was going to be World War III, where there was like a plane shot down or something like this, and in the UK, we're going through Brexit and all of this, going to be civil wars and all these kind of things like this. And then COVID's happened, and it's sort of been the distraction perhaps from other things. So, and you know, this is where this could be controversial, because people could be saying like, David, are you saying it's good that COVID happened? That now there's not been the same fires and there haven't been wars? But there'll be an alternative history. There'll be some sort of like sliding doors, if you know that film reference, where things went the other way, and like that person in China didn't eat that bat or whatever the alleged rumor was.
It was probably a bat. It was probably a bat.
Later on, we're going to get all of the conspiracy theories about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's the thing. You know, that's. I fully feel that once we're back on stages, we need to be more political, because we've let, over the last 20, 30 years, I don't know, ever since Reagan, I'll just come out and say, Reagan started this whole process. I voted for him, and I'm ashamed, honestly. But there's just been this consistent dumbing down of people, chipping away at education, chipping away at critical thought, chipping away at at science, all the things that, I mean, hell, if it weren't for science, we couldn't do this. No, you know, absolutely. This would be a long interview with pigeons. You know, it would be something else.
Yeah.
So, you know, we've got to get more political as artists, I think, and tell it like it is, and not be afraid to speak truth to power. And not be afraid to alienate that half of the audience that's too damn stupid to know they're voting against their own interests. That's right. You're stupid.
Yeah.
You're voting against your own interests. You're stupid as hell. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, well. Sorry.
No, there you go.
I'll do an impression of Elvis now. I like the every time in that impression battle, I sit there and everybody else gets a character that I can do. And I always get something like Rob Bryson or whatever.
Yeah. Do you know what? Like, okay, well, Diz, that's an unfortunate thing. Just because when we're doing it, like, you run a show, I run a show.
Yeah.
I'm sure this isn't unique to me. When suggestions come through, especially as we're doing it virtually and it's on a message thing, I'll scroll through and occasionally I'll think, okay, I'll give that one to that person for whatever reason, whatever criteria. That it's like, oh, that's a callback to something. Or I might think, oh, this person, if they're like in India or something like that, I've got to give them something that's really globally well known. I can't give them this particular quirky British character or something. With people from the United States, if I try to give them like US references and stuff like this. But yeah, maybe I've been letting you down there.
No, it's not your fault. You're occasionally I'll get one I can do like Donald Duck, or Elvis, or anything that Christopher Lloyd has ever done, the professor from Back to the Future.
Yeah,
I love him. But and it's fun. Where do you come down? Well, now where do you come down on this? You get a suggestion. You ever play? Okay, so the game Party Quirks, right?
Yeah.
You've got your three people that are up there doing the quirks, and then you've got the actor that's off that's got to guess the things. And you get something that nobody up there knows. Like one time we got let me have a person from history, and there was a 90-year-old woman in the audience, and she said Millard Fillmore, who was a president, and And Kevin was hosting the show, who I spoke about earlier.
Yep.
And Kevin was of the opinion that you always take the first thing you hear, no matter what it is, and you always give it to the actor that it's intended for. Huh? Dildo. You give it to the actor that it's intended for, and then it's up to them to make it work. And it doesn't matter how horrible, how awful. And he and I didn't see eye to eye on that. But I swear to God, it took 30 minutes to play that one game of Party Quirks.
Wow.
Because nobody knew who Millard Fillmore was. We barely knew who it was, and we're old.
Yeah.
So,
I would say, in my opinion, that you can have the element of if it's your show, you can choose to say we'll take a few ideas and we'll go for the one that works. Just because it's one of the things I've been speaking about with people is that if you're putting on a show, to me, the huge purpose of it, and no, do you know what? You are right. Sometimes you'll put on a show and it's like, just do an impression of Elvis. Other times you can think, well, okay, I want to give a message with this, and you might want to get political or something to make a social statement, and that's absolutely fine. But for me, like especially with extreme improv, it's like I want to do an entertaining show, because if because I have to think of like, well, in a sense, it's a business. I just want to play games and have fun, and I want to be an actor and just play characters. But at the same time, it's a business. And when we say about, oh, people don't understand what improv is and stuff like this, it's a problem. Another issue is that sometimes if you put on a show and the audience don't enjoy it, they won't come back. That's fairly obvious. And sometimes the audience don't know what they want. And what I mean by that is you ask the audience to, now, hopefully, if any audience traditional people are listening to this, hopefully this won't alienate you too much. But you ask an audience for a suggestion, and you're asking them to be creative, and you're putting them on the spot. And now we're very used to being put on the spot because that's what the idea of what we're doing is. But you put the audience on the spot, and they will go to some of the more obvious ideas that they'll go to. So that's why when we say, can we have a suggestion of a character, we'll get Harry Potter. Like, Harry Potter's only been around for 20 odd years, but that's the character we get most. After that, we might say a person from history, Henry VIII or Hitler. It'll be just these same things again. Can we have an object? Spatula. It's like, who cares about spatula? Can we get a film genre? Film noir. Why do you even know what film noir is? No, they say on Whose Lines. That's why we want you to do it. It's like, okay, if you could choose to go to see a film tonight, would you go and see a film noir? No. Why do you want us to do it? Okay, we're gonna have a location. Where is this set? At a doctor's waiting room or a park bench. Now, would you go to see the film set at a park bench? No. Then why do you want us to do it? So there is an element of, if you ask the audience for something, they are going to go through these same things. Gynecologists will come up over and over again. What's the profession? What is this character doing? Filling out his tax return. And I've actually said this to audiences. They might say filling out a tax return or at a doctor's waiting room, and I'll say to them, this show could have been about anything. We could have had space wars. Yeah, we could have had like a showdown with cowboys. We could have had anything, but now we've got a scene where Boris Johnson is filling out his tax return
with a dildo.
With a dildo. Well, see, even that spices it up a bit.
That would be interesting, at least.
Yeah. And
how do you work this?
So there is the element where we can say, oh, it's got to be pure improv. We've got to take the first thing. We've got to yes and absolutely everything. But I don't agree with that. I think that we can have an element of using a judgment call, of just make it known to the audience, not that the audience aren't going to come there to try and catch us out. They're not going to say, oh, you're picking and choosing your suggestions. So if you say, give us a few ideas, okay, we're going to grab that one, and that's fine, and if the material you come up with is good, then they'll enjoy it. But if you literally say, we're going to have to take this suggestion, and then it's going to take half an hour for us to end this scene. I mean, sorry, Diz, I know I'm dominating this a little bit.
No, dude.
Okay.
So I was going to say, This is fantastic conversation.
Yeah, so one of the games, obviously, that we play often with Extreme Improv is the single syllable game.
Yes.
And when people first play it, it's quite a challenging game. But after a while, the performers, they learn the tricks of the trade, they get good at it. And it's one of the things that, especially doing the Zoom shows, because I've not had a lot of the performers who regularly do the shows aren't people I've worked with in a rehearsal. And because of the way I run things, and this is a little bit my bad, I'll say, just join 10 minutes before the show. I'll say, basically explain the format, and then we'll do the show. And it's all going to be great, and we have a great time. But I haven't had like an hour or 2 hour to go over certain games and certain things and say, okay, we're putting on a show. Now, if you've become really, really good at this game depends on people getting eliminated, or like a guessing game like Party Quirks, it depends on someone guessing it. Yeah. If that doesn't happen where someone gets eliminated or someone doesn't achieve a guess, it's open-ended. Unless we put a time limit or something on it, it won't end. And so that's literally why in the last few weeks I've had to start saying, okay, if you do too well, we'll give you a pat on the back and get off the stage. But generally, I do tell people in the rehearsals that, and I often compare, like, there's so much with the championship belts and stuff like this, where I'll compare what we do to wrestling, and I'll say there is elements where it's fixed, and that's not to say that it's scripted or anything, but there's having the awareness that on certain games, if you've done too well, just throw the fight. At a certain point, you need to get off stage. Otherwise, the psychology is the audience will want you to lose. Yeah, you want to put on a good show. You want that. What you were talking about earlier is you want to put on the best show that you possibly can for your audience. So yeah, I'm gonna take this suggestion. I'm gonna fit it to this person that I know is going to do a good job with it. Yeah. It doesn't mean I'm rigging the selections. I got this, so I'm going to give it to Beth because I know Beth is going to do a great job with it. I got this, I'm going to give it to Shalita because I know she's going to do a great job with it. I'm going to give this to Dave Green because, well, it's Tinkerbell. So let him do that. And in fact, you know what you said about like some of the guys you've met through Extreme Improv. I'll give a shout out to both Shalita and Beth. Who else from your group? Mac. I think Mac might be the only other person. Mac Dyer might be the only other person that's played with you guys. You've introduced a few guys who have done our shows a bunch of times, and yourself, obviously. It's been great to work so frequently with the Improv Chattanoogans, if that's the right. Chattanoogans, or Noogans. Oh, Noogans. This place, I swear. This place, I'm very proud of what we've built here in Chattanooga. When Kevin and I started it, when we rebranded, we gave a presentation at one of these local business luncheons or whatever the hell it is you do, like a commerce thing. Oh, it's a Pecha Kucha. Have you ever done a Pecha Kucha? Do you know what that is? I don't think so. It's a concept from Japan. It's a slideshow. You have 20 slides, and each one is on screen for 20 seconds. Yeah. So it's like 6 minutes and 20 seconds long, and you can talk about anything you want in the entire world. So we did one. One time. Kevin and I did one. It was a 2-man thing where my girlfriend at the time put words on each slide, and we had no idea what they were, and so. She would ring the bell, we would turn around, we would look at the word, and then we would do a 20-second scene on that word. And we did that for the whole thing. That was a lot of fun. But Kevin and I, when we were announcing the rebranding to Improv Chattanooga, we did a Pecha Kucha, and we said our goal with Improv Chattanooga was to turn Chattanooga into an improv destination. Amazing. And thanks to COVID, we've done that. Because we've got people coming in from all over the world to play with us on our shows. So, and I apologize humbly, deeply, and sincerely. You are welcome to play on any of our shows, my friend. I have not. I every time I mean to text you about that, something happens. I understand that Laura told you that we had made her our first international member, and you were a little upset. I wasn't apologize. I wasn't upset. David
David was like, "What? He did what? What? I can't believe he did that."
No, Diz, no. Right, that was brilliant. Just because we had like Laura was on. What's her last name? Laura
Hughes. Laura Hughes.
Yeah. Laura Hughes. She was on our Revenge of the Werewolf show last week. And at the end of it, it's like, where can people find you? And she was like, I'm the first official international. And I was like, I've been building this relationship. I've stayed up at 1 a.m. I've done jam. And I haven't had the official nod. And she was like, and she was like, and Al's the second. And I was like, Diz, what are you doing to me? It was all a joke.
I would love to have. I would love to have more international players. I would love to have you guys. And again, you're welcome to play in any show that you want to. It's a blast. It's always fun working with you. And because and this is the problem that I have. You host so much, you rarely get to play. So
it's so true, isn't it?
It sucks.
Yeah,
it really does.
Okay, so let me quickly ask you this on that.
Yeah.
So once again, where I say about with like especially short form where there are games where you can win and lose, I experience that because I'm in charge, people don't want me to win. People are against me. Like I'm the big bad guy that's telling everyone all these tough things to do. We should build a show like a video game show, an improv video game where you go through it and you have bosses. So like, you know? Right, honestly, right, there is a thought here, which we can perhaps figure it out. So,
yes,
insider story. A month ago, we did the World Championship,
right?
And I didn't participate just because once again I figured, well, if I say that I'm in it and people are like, well, he's hosting, they'll either want me to lose once again because of the psychology that I observe, that they'll want me to lose, or it'll be if I win, people will then question it. Is it a valid win or what have you? And I was like, but that means I don't get to play, I don't get to do any of it, you know. And I was like, I like the idea, so it's going to happen regardless. But I was like, can I suddenly emerge at the end? And my idea was literally some sort of boss fight, was literally the term I had in my head. But I was like, but what does that mean? How does this work? Am I saying that I'm going to suddenly steal the victory at the end? And I didn't ever come up with a concept to fit.
That would have been awesome. That would have been so awesome. Fight.
It should have been
the final boss battle.
Yeah,
we'll talk about this. This could be a show.
Yeah,
and you get special guest bosses, and people don't know who they are.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Like when we do that. Oh, another show we do is the Improv Showdown, which is two teams, and they play similar games from different categories like bell games and verbal restriction games like ABC and all that stuff. And people vote. You watched it, I think.
Yeah.
People vote on who do it, and then at the end, the winning team, the captain picks a champion from their team, and the losing team, the captain picks a victim from their team, and then we get a way that the champion kills the victim. Amazing. Oh, that's so much fun. And that was always so much fun when we did that live, because we had all kinds of. If you go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Improv Chattanooga, and you search for Death By, or look at the category Death By. There's a lot of videos there from the ends of those shows.
I will check that out.
Died one way or another. So what else we got? My wife is telling me that it's time for me to eat.
Yeah, no, we can wrap this up, Diz, but I'm sure we should
midnight there, isn't it?
We should do a part 2 of this.
Oh, we should. That would be great. I could tell you my Keith Johnstone story.
Oh, amazing.
He doesn't like me.
There was loads of things that you've mentioned. I was like, oh, we should touch on that. But we kept the flow going so much that it never felt right to backtrack.
No. This has been a lot of fun, David. I really appreciate this. I'm sorry that I haven't had you on my podcast. I'm sorry that I didn't make you our first international member. Can you come to practice Monday night at 1 a.m.?
I will be there.
Oh, will you? Okay.
Yeah. I see you regretted it. You didn't mean it.
No, I'm not regretting it.
I've got the video now. The regret.
Okay, you got the video. I'm not regretting it.
I've seen. Oh shit! It's Pustansky face.
I'm gonna add you to the group.
Do it,
and then you can join or not as your time allows. You're super busy though, man.
Yeah, but do you know what? I've got this sickness. I just say yes to everything. We discussed it earlier.
Yeah, say yes and there are 19 people on the screen.
Yeah, I've had that a few times. We had a show last night, and there was like 11 of us. 11 of us. And the show was about just under 3 hours, and in the end, I was like, everyone's going to be so pissed at me. But I was like, oh, God.
When we were doing those shows early on with Runs with Scissors, and I would show up to the theater, and I would see, and we always dressed in black. We always did the theater black. And I would see 20 people dressed in black and one person sitting there waiting for the show to start. Is like, what can we do? How can we get more people in regular clothes and less people in theater clothes?
Well, we can solve.
You gotta make that call sometime. You gotta winnow it down.
Yeah. Okay, so Diz,
yes.
On that point, just once again, plug where can everyone find you in Improv Chattanooga?
Oh, well, let's see, improvchattanooga.com. I never update it, so facebook.com/Improv Chattanooga is your best place to find us. We do a show every Friday night at 8 p.m. You can find that on Facebook or on our Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/Improv Chattanooga. And this month, the month of September, I don't know how long it's going to be before this goes out, but we're doing 1-star reviews every Friday in September. Send us a link to a 1-star review and we'll read it and do a scene about it. And then after that, I'm not entirely sure what we're going to do because got a bunch of different, who knows? I might just steal Extreme Improv and call it Radical Improv.
Radical Improv. Ultra
Radical Improv.
Ultimate Improv. There's that,
Radical.
There we go.
No, wait. Radical.
Radical, dude.
Radical Improv.
Yeah.
I would like to talk to you about licensing the concept and the.
Yeah.
Have you thought about that? Have you thought about that?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that you're sitting on a gold mine there, my friend.
Diz, again, something else we can get into later point is coming up in a gosh, is going to be creeping up at the start of November. We did the World Championship.
Yeah.
At the very end of it, I announced that we're going to do a team version.
That's right.
And part of that originally, again, it was going to be on stage, and it was going to be like mixer teams from people coming from all over the world was the idea. And there was going to be geographical teams and stuff like this. And I've had to retool it a little bit, but teams are in the works. So
cool.
Well,
we'll have a team in there, my friend.
Yeah. So on that note, so I better wrap up for me. My name is David Pustansky. You can find me at David Pustansky, Pustansky on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And for Extreme Improv, we're at Extreme Improv on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, all of the podcasting sites in the world that you can imagine. So Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, so on and so forth. Check us out. Give us a subscribe wherever. Do also check out some of these death videos on Improv Chattanooga.
Yes, please.
That's really wrong when you put it like that. So on their YouTube channel. And for now, I will say bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.